I am Paul Starr, and I'm happy to say I've been joined by no other than Ipswich Rangers and England legend Terry Butcher. And of course, today is brought to you by Football Mad. Terry, lovely to see you.
Nice to be here.
Now, I think we're going to have to start off talking about the man himself, Bobby Robson. Of course, he gave you your Ipswich debut, and what was he like as a person? What was he like as a manager? And obviously a big influence on your career.
Yeah, it was a big influence on my career. I mean, he signed me as a professional in 1976. Seems a long while ago now. Well, it is a long while ago now. £50 a week, and I sort of never looked really back after that. I was with him from 76 all the way through to 1990. So he became the England manager, and I had 14 years of great joy with him. He taught me a lot. He taught me all about myself, and he didn't just raise you as a footballer. He raised you as a person, because his character then came through and made you the player that he wanted me to be, and I wanted to be as well.
In the way he managed, obviously we hear different managers, some of the arm around the shoulder. Could he play both roles there? He was tough as well?
He was very tough, I tell you, that was very tough. And all I saw at the start was the tough side of him, but you just wanted to do your very, very best for him. Because I was an Ipswich fan, so I used to go and watch the town play and stand on the terraces, and I went there with a milk crate once because I wasn't 6'4" all the time. Yeah. Stood there behind the goal, and I loved the football club, but to play for the club that you love and that you've been to so many times is a real honour. And he was a real hero of mine, so he could have told me to do anything. I would have jumped in the Thames or something else like that. I'd have gone anywhere. But he was that sort of leader, that sort of person, and he was tough. And the first few years it was. I thought my first name was Effin Butcher this and Effin Butcher that. It was harsh, It was in those days. It was brutal, but it made you a man. It made you a man quick, and But then there was always a thing about Bobby where he always used to say to me, he said, "Whenever I select you, whenever I pick you for the first team, Ipswich, he says, you never let me down, son." And when someone says that to you, wow, your chest puffs out and you feel really, really good. And he was fantastic that way. His man management skills were second to none.
And I even heard something that I think I heard you mention once on an interview that he would sort out mortgages as well for yourself. If when you would financially, he got that side.
Well, we'd settled. I'd married Rita. We were starting to have children, and we decided to move. And I was just thinking, well, I'd rather give my money to the football club than I would to a building society or a bank. So we went to the banks as usual, and they sort of gave us the rates and that. And then I went to the gaffer and I just said, look, what about this? You can throw it back at me if you want. And he just said, no, I'll have a few words and I'm sure we can get something sorted out, which we did. Yeah. And it was unusual, I think, in many respects, but it just underlined the way that the club was run. Yeah. It was run spectacularly well, from the Cobbolds at the top through to Bobby and through to the playing side. So it was great. So in a way, I was like hooked in and stayed in and fixed in.
So a tough manager when he wanted to be, but he created that family sort of feel within the club.
Yeah, he knew everything about the players and the wives and families. He knew the parents. It was just an incredible guy. When we got married, that was a tradition at Ipswich. We got some bone china dinner set. Yeah. And players got that, and we were able to select it, and it's just lovely. We still got it. Yeah. So we'll never get rid of that. No. But it was like that way. It was a family club. He made people feel very welcome. He had a word for everybody and anybody. Talked a lot. Yes. Talked a lot. But when he talked, everybody listened. That special feeling when you come in a room, someone comes in a room, and everybody stops and looks and
he was one of those.
And watches him. Yeah, he was. Oh wow, he would stop anything. Brilliant. When he came in, and but he would make everybody welcome, and he'd make everybody feel really good.
So Terry, over 350 appearances for your beloved Ipswich, and there is a chance they might be returning to the Premier League. Only a few games left. That would be great, wouldn't it?
It would be brilliant to get back in the Premier League. It's been a long, long time, and we've gone through a lot of downs and depression and horrible, horrible times. But now they're on the cusp, and now you sort of think they'll get there. I've got every confidence that they'll get there. I really have, because I feel that things are going very well. The other clubs at the top of the Championship have got to play each other as well.
That's lovely. This stage
it's a lovely
of the season.
Feeling. But there's still some difficult games. But the way that Kieran McKenna has marshalled the team and organised the structure of the side has been very, very impressive. They have a unique style of play that they're just exciting to watch. They can score goals, still give a few goals away, more to my liking than I think. But you've got to take that if they're scoring goals at the other end, which they are. So, but it's just an incredible transformation in the last 2 years, 2.5 years now, nearly 3 years.
Yeah.
With Game Changer, who sort of put the money in. A lot of investment from the Americans, and they come over and you see them and they're happy and they must be delighted with the progress that the club has made. And it's not only on the pitch, it's off the pitch as well. They're just organising the restructuring of the ground, trying to get more people in, and all the facilities are improving because nothing was spent on the club, you see. No. So it just went down. Yeah. Now it's coming back up. It's coming back up in a very exciting way.
So the last couple of games of the season, it is tough. But the amount of points they've got, in previous years, they would have probably all been promoted already. 3 teams with Leicester and, of course, Leeds as well. Yeah. It's a tough one, isn't it?
Well, Southampton could actually get over 90 points as well. So you would have 4 teams with 90 points, and 2 of those teams would not get automatic promotion. Yeah. It is astonishing. It was a little bit like that in League One last year, where there was 3 clubs that were going for the 2 positions, automatic ones. And Ipswich just managed to get second, so I would take second. Very happy. It doesn't matter 1 or 2. Just to be back. And you don't want to tempt fate and look forward and think, well, this and all that. But you sort of say, wow, this is what it was like when we were playing. In the top division in Europe and things like this. And it seemed a few years ago it's going to be beyond our reach, beyond, you're never going to see that again.
But it's close.
But now it's close. I'm not saying Europe, of course, but I'm saying don't hope for that. But you sort of think, well, there's a possibility. You've got to be in the Premier League to get into Europe as well. So who knows?
Of course, Terry, there was a bit of time you spent at Coventry and the FA Cup semi-final. Heartbreak, really. You don't see many football matches like that. And any thoughts on VAR, should we say?
Well, when I was manager of Coventry, that was my first ever manager, and I was only 31 at the time, which is very, very young. We actually played Brian Clough and his Forest team in the League Cup tie. And we went 3-0 up in the first half.
Do you know what these 3-0s are all about? It's never over, is it?
No, and then it was, I think it was, Forest got a goal. I think it might have been. Yeah, it was 3-1 up. Yeah, we 3-1 half time. So Forest got a goal towards the end of half time, and we sort of went, and they obviously lifted them.
Next goal's Hughes then, isn't it?
Yeah, well, they got the next goal, and then they got the other goal. So it was 3-3, and then we eventually got the winner. So to beat a young manager, to beat Brian Clough and his Forest side was a big thing for me. But it was a great club, Highfield Road. The food they had there, and the hospitality was magnificent. It's a lovely, lovely club, and it was absolute heartbreak to watch them come back so well, and you sort of sometimes when you look at Liverpool, in Istanbul.
I was there.
You were there. We remember that game. I wouldn't have given them any price to get back, and they did, and they obviously won on penalties, and that was where Manchester United could have lost on penalties, but unfortunately for Coventry they won. But the goal that should have been was an absolute. I've never been a fan of VAR. It is especially for offsides. It is flawed. The actual system is flawed. Sometimes for VAR does help when it comes to red cards, but even that is debatable. And obviously handballs are just you just don't know what's a handball now.
I think that is the problem, isn't it? People don't know what it. So you, in your day, if we could rewind a few decades, would you no VAR for you?
Well, maybe have it for the 1986 World Cup quarter-final.
Yes. Let's have it for that game.
That's the one I would have it for, because I think that's pretty obvious. It's a clear and obvious error there. But sometimes the decisions, they're not clear and obvious. They're very, very close. So therefore, I don't know. It's so sad that the Coventry fans were ecstatic. Torp was ecstatic, having scored what he thought was the winner. And then all of a sudden, you're deprived of it. I mean, to be fair to Torp, when he got up and took the penalty, it was the best penalty of the lot. He roofed it in the top corner. Class. So he showed a lot of resilience and a lot of strength for that as well.
Do you find that they say with VAR in the way it is, it's also doesn't help when a goal is scored, because everyone's looking. it makes the celebration a little bit less because you're not sure whether it's going to be.
Well, it's muted, isn't it? The celebration. Some people celebrate, the players celebrate up to a point, but they don't go fully mad and berserk like you would normally do. Yeah, and then it's obviously given or not given after that. If it is given, then it's a relief sort of thing more than anything else. If it isn't given, then you've got to try and refocus, which is very difficult, especially. Cup semi-final like we had,
at Wembley, of course. So Terry, 127 appearances for Rangers. Of course, Graham Souness took you out there, and of course, not just for Rangers and Motherwell and a few other clubs as well. So a bit of a relationship with the English-Scottish sort of rivalry. I'm going to say rivalry. I'm going to say relationship. Any thoughts on them for the Euros? I mean, they start off with Germany, don't they? in their home country. That's tough. That's a tough start.
It's a tough group. But Hungary were unbeaten in their group as well, so it's that's pretty difficult. Yeah. So and there's Switzerland as well. You never know with the Swiss. You never know.
They'll probably beat Germany and end up losing to Switzerland. Well, that's what happens with Scotland.
They're not going to be neutral. They're going to actually have to try and win matches. But no, it is difficult. And Scotland have never got past the group stage in World Cups or Euros. So, but I like Steve Clarke. I think he's done a fantastic job. Successive Euros, and you sort of think, well, they've got the squad there. And one thing about Scotland, they're very difficult to beat and break down. They've got injuries, unfortunately, at the moment, especially in the right back area. Yeah. So they've got to wait and see if they can get their full squad out. But I'm really pleased they're there, and they only lost one game in their group. Spain were the only team with them to only lose one game. But wow, it was a tough group.
And like you said, that in the 80s, when you was at World Cups and whatever, they had some cracking players, didn't they? Scotland, Souness. I mean, I'm biased. Liverpool, Souness, Douglas, Hansen, and lots of. But they never. There's always a step too far. Maybe even Euro '96 when it looked like they were going to go through, and then the Dutch scored against England the 4-1, and they're out again. But it's a lot. It's a big ass playing Germany in the first game, isn't it? But
you never know with the Germans. The Germans are not in great form. They haven't, they haven't got the sides that reached finals and won Euros in the past. So I think Scotland fancy their chances against anybody. Look, if you can beat Spain, you've got a great chance against Germany. Have you not? So they'll have a belief. And I think the first game is always a fresh game. You want to make an impact straight away. You're really geared up for that. And then obviously you don't get that much rest between the next game. So they'll be in prime condition for the first game. I know they've lost a lot of friendlies in the build up to the Euros, but they won't be worried about that. It's what they do on the day. But I still think they've got good players there. They're a good team. McTominay's scoring goals from midfield. They've got a good shape to the team, a good heart in the team as well. So they'll be a difficult package. And you remember Euro 2020 when we drew 0-0 with them at Wembley. They made it very difficult. They could have poached it. So,
and of course, I think we've also got not just the top two in the group go for it. There's going to be some third, best place third finishes as well. So it all helps.
Yeah. When I was looking at the actual structure of the draw, and I just give up in the end. It was winner, runner up in A, B, C, D, and all that. For goodness sake, where's it going to be? You couldn't actually predict it. Although there is a possibility that we might play them in the round of 16.
That'd be fun.
That'd be fun. I wouldn't mind that. But for Scotland to get through the group stage, that's their biggest achievement. And if they can do that for the first time, they'll all be really, really big heroes.
Yeah, they're off and running then, aren't they? So Terry, you didn't play in any Euro championships, but you picked 3 World Cups, 82, 86 and 90. Proud moments for you, and of course being England captain. I don't want to mention certain World Cups, but there's got to be some moments that sort of stand out, make you a proud Englishman.
I was proud every time I pulled the jersey on. You pull an England jersey on, it's your proudest moment, and you're proud for your whole family. It's just incredible feeling. But it means so much to the players and to the fans and everybody else. So. But I never played in the Euros because the first one, '84, we didn't qualify. Denmark were really strong then. Yeah. And then I broke my leg in November '87. Yeah. And then missed '88. Well, but it was a good one to miss because we lost 3 games.
All 3 games.
I think my reputation was enhanced. So
would have won it if Terry was there.
They say the phrase is, if you don't play, you can't have a bad one.
No, that's absolutely.
So I came back strong after that, but it was a shame because you want to play in Germany, you want to play in the Euros, you want to play in major championships. So it is disappointing, but at the end of the day, I've been to the Euros. I did a lot of radio commentary for the Euros. Followed England Euro 2000, Euro 2004 when Rooney came in. So I'm really happy memories of the Euros, really good memories. And we just feel, well, England went all the way, but not quite did it in the final against Italy. So I think, well, if they go further, then they do win it. And I think they're one of the favourites. I think England and France are one of the favourites, two of the favourites. So I think they've got a good chance if they can get everybody fit and everybody's up and running.
Get the nation behind them as well.
Well, the nation's always going to be behind them. It's just a case of what the England team does.
Yeah. And when you're at the World Cups, we'll come on to talking about those World Cups in a moment, but when you're in the camp, in the England camp, you're sort of, I said things were different maybe in 82, 86 and 90 and mobile phones and whatever. But did you find that, what's going on back home, you didn't know about that until you literally came home, that the whole country was it was euphoria?
No, well, it was a bit like in 2018, I think the players actually said that as well. They had the internet, so you could tune in and look at the cameras or whatever you wanted to do, and you knew roughly what the reaction was. But when we were out, there was no internet, no mobile phones, nothing like that, so we never knew. And when you see the images, when we got to the quarters, got to the semis, in Italia 19, when you look at the people, the TV people were putting them on the screens for us to see, particularly like the empty streets when we were playing and all that sort of thing, which is unheard of. And then you look at the number of parties and events. It makes you even prouder. To be honest, it really makes you feel good, and you sort of say, I can't let them down. We don't want to let them down even more. So the responsibility's heavier, but at the same time, it's a nice pressure. Wonderful. Because you want to make so many people happy. You make millions of people happy. Whereas with a club, you make thousands. With a country, it's completely different. So a lot of players can't handle that pressure. But we used to thrive on it. We loved it. We enjoyed it.
And what an honour! Wow, Terry, I can remember that summer afternoon in '86. Broken-hearted. We've seen Maradona. We've seen what he's done for the first goal. We've seen what he's done for the second. From ridiculous to the sublime. I mean, only he could do that. Really, the cheating. Let's call it cheating because it was.
It was cheating.
Yeah. And then scores maybe one of the most famous, maybe one of the best goals of all time. I mean, memories of that day. I remember Gary Lineker on an interview saying that the pitch was almost like a cow field.
It was awful. The pitch was terrible. There was the marks from the previous games because we played against Paraguay there as well.
The 3-0
in the round of 16. So it wasn't great. We'd been there a year before as well in preparation. And the stadium was a disaster. It was awful. And it's much better for the quarter final of the World Cup, but the pitch wasn't better, and so. It was a poor game. Neither team sort of cancelled each other out really. Neither team had the ascendancy, and then all of a sudden it all kicked off with the handball.
Did you realised it straight away?
No, I never saw it. Didn't see it at all. Didn't even think that he'd handled the ball because I was brought up in an era with morals and standards and all that sort of thing. Do the things the right way. Don't cheat. So don't dive. Don't do things like that.
And then you looked at and you saw Peter Shilton chasing.
Terry Fenwick ran past me, so I ran after them and. I didn't know what I was doing. I just thought, well, get the bodies there and just try and intimidate the referee a little bit. But he was having none of it. The linesman didn't see it either. So it is history. It's iconic, but it still gives me
it's not iconic
bad memories. No, and then of course the second goal is very, very disappointing from our point of view because you don't like to see goals like that go against you. You like to see John Barnes do the dribbling like he did in American R and things like this. You love to see that. So it was bittersweet memories, and it was the way to go out of a World Cup wasn't right. You lost the game, but you lost the game by default really by the handball. So you then have to face the reality of a long flight home and
and that's
failure really.
And also I think just before the ball was played to Maradona with his quick turn in the middle of the pitch. Glenn Hoddle had been flattened, hadn't he? He'd been taken in half.
Well, I wasn't sure if it was Glenn, but we all stopped because we thought it was a foul. Yeah. And then all of a sudden he's picked the ball up and he started running. Yeah. And I showed him inside to Peter Reid, and poor Peter was puffing away. He struggled. He was struggling.
Nearly got back.
And then of course I circled round, and then he's facing Terry Fenwick, and Terry was already booked that game. Yeah. He'd been suspended for the previous one, but he was booked in that game. So if he got another yellow, he was off. Yeah. So he went past Terry, and then with Shilts, and Shilts couldn't touch him because he'd have gone down. Yeah. And I nearly got there. I nearly scored the greatest own goal in World Cup history. Flipping wish I had. Yeah, I would have bagged that one. But there we are. But even at 2-0, we still came back, and John Barnes came on. Yes. and it was absolutely dazzling.
One of my favourite players ever, and he just turned the game, didn't he? The Lineker goal, and I thought it was 2-2. I don't know where your view, whether you could see when the cross come over Barnes again for Lineker, and somehow he ends up in the net, but the ball doesn't.
Yeah, well, I've seen it in slow motion a few times, and it was a great cross, and he was begging to be put in the net, and I thought Gary was going to score. I thought he was odds on to score the equaliser. But the defender just pops up.
This flick,
he was a small guy. He just pops up in front of Gary and flicks it on.
Yeah.
I mean, you look at defending and you say that was unbelievable. Yeah. That was one of the highlights of the game for me, even though it was an Argentina player, because I admired the defending. Yeah. But I didn't admire the fact that we didn't get the equaliser. But it was frustrating because we never really played until the last 15 minutes. We never really showed what we could do, and that's the most one of the most disappointing things.
Yeah, and if you had made it 2-2. Do you think the game would? You got the ascendancy now. The game was there for the taking.
Yeah, I think it was there for the taking.
Would it have been possibly Belgium in the semi-final as well?
Yeah, Belgium in the semi. Yeah, well, there's life is riddled with what ifs and maybes and buts. But at the end of the day, it's I was part of that, and then there's something that you can tell your grandchildren. I was actually part of that, despite what happened. I was actually there.
And his shirt goes for over £7 million a few years later.
Yeah, but that's fate, I suppose.
Yeah. So, Terry, we're looking at Gareth Southgate. Of course, he's made a Euros final and a World Cup semi-final. What does he need to do different? Maybe looking ahead. There's a lot of press, a lot of pundits, whatever. Maybe a little bit negative with in the way England play with that team. With those forward players, is there anything you would change if you was England manager?
Well, what he's got to do is win. He's got to win the tournament. He's got to go one step further than he did before. But it seems like progression. He's building up. The semi-final and then the final, and now go and win it. So but they have the team there. They have the players. Yeah. It's just a case of how positive Gareth is, and people say he's negative. I just think at the end of the day, you've got to be careful. You can't overcommit. You've just got to, you want to keep it tight at the back, and you want to make sure you're fine. But I think the way that we play and the personnel that we have, they're very fluid. They can play in a variety of ways in terms within the system that he employs.
Almost continental up front, though. We've got
that movement. It is. But they're skillful players. They're athletic. They're strong. They have a belief. They have a camaraderie. Yeah. Well, I can't see them. I can see them getting very, very close, last four, and then we'll see what happens after that. But I think Gareth's all right. I like Gareth. Yeah. A lot of people beginning to question him now and saying this, they haven't done this and they don't do this and they're too negative. And I don't think they're too negative at all. I think he's very, very forward. He wants to get young players in the squad. He wants to get legs in the squad that can run all day, sort of thing. He wants energy. Well, I think he's fine, and the players still respect him. They still like him, and that's the main thing. Despite there's an increasing number of comments that are going against Gareth, and I don't see the point of that. But within the squad, they're fine. They're very happy with him, and I think it's a very content squad. It's exciting. Yeah. He's got some difficult selections to make. The basis of the squad of the 23s that is picked. He knows that. But I think there's one or two that could force their way in. So we'll hopefully be the case. But it's going to be a young squad with a few experienced players, which is what you want.
And if we look at some of the other teams in the competition, if we talk about Spain, Germany, France, Italy, they're not strong at the moment compared to what they've had in the past, are they? So they're you've played, as I say, against top international teams. So there is an option. There is an opportunity for England there. Say France in '98 or Spain, a decade ago, and obviously the great Italian sides. If you put England's first 11 on, say, a selected 11 against their 11, we can match them, can't we?
Yeah, we can. You look back in history. You look at like Denmark winning '92.
That was astonishing, wasn't it?
Unbelievable. And then having been on the beach before, a few weeks before, they come and win it. Up. And then you've got obviously Greece in 2004 as well. Yeah. No one fancied Greece, but they there's a collective spirit, and they won. It wasn't the prettiest of football, but it's results, not performances.
They picked up the trophy.
Yeah, they picked up the trophy. So it can be done. I'm not saying England have got to play poorly and try and win it. They just got to win it. They just got to win their games. And there's always a case with, like Sir Alex Ferguson would always say, find a way to win the game. Yeah. And that's what Gareth has to do and the players have to do on the pitch. So hopefully that will be the case. But I can see them getting the last 4, and then who knows after that.
See what happens. Yeah. If we look at England, we look at the attacking options, the Kane, the Saka, the Foden, the Grealish, Sterling, even Sancho, all of these superstars. Is there a concern at the back? Possibly, or am I getting this wrong? And is there a player maybe, centre half for England, you think, I'd like to play with him when I was in my heyday? I mean, if we look at England's strengths, I have a concern about the back 4 or back 5.
Well, England's strengths has always been the goalkeeper and the 2 centre backs. You know, when you think about it, you know, the Ferdinands and the Campbells, all these people, Tony Adams. Yeah. You know, you look at the partnerships and everything else like that, and I still think it's a good partnership with Stones and Maguire. I really do. The back 4 picks itself. Yeah. You know, Kyle Walker at right back, left back Chilwell. Yeah. Then you got Stones and Maguire. It picks itself with Pickford. So there's your 5. Yeah. Yes, we'd all like to have better players, better centre halves, and we would like to have a much better back 4. But we haven't got that. This is what we've got, and we stick to it. So the best form of defence is attack, and we've got some real quality up there. You know. I don't think you mentioned Bellingham. I mean, Bellingham is just on fire. He really is.
What a wonderful player he is.
Yeah, but what do you play him? You don't play him sitting. You play him as an advanced midfield player.
Rice maybe.
Rice in there, maybe. Who else in there? Trent Alexander-Arnold in there as well. That may be a solution or a possibility. Yeah. You know, remember we've lost key players in there, but you know there's still several players. I was looking at the squad the other day, and I'm thinking. You know, you've got Maddison, who's you know a very good player. Foden can play in the number 10 role, which Bellingham likes.
He's been brilliant lately, hasn't he?
He's been brilliant. Saka, you know, it's just on the left-hand side, possibly in an attack. You think, well, it could be Bowen, it could be Grealish. Yeah. You know, you never know. But I mean, that's the biggest thing for Gareth is that he's got to get things right, get the blend right, and you know when it matters on the day. Not so much from game to like a consistency throughout. Sometimes that doesn't happen in the Euros and the World Cups. You just win every game that you play, and you find a way to win that game. And how are we going to get progress through this game to the next one? And that's take it game by game.
And you mentioned Trent Alexander-Arnold. He's fit again now, with his wonderful. Pass. Would you play him at right back? I know we said that Kyle Walker's a shoe-in. Really, would you find a place to get at Trent in that team?
Yeah, well, he's played him there before, hasn't he?
He likes
the friendlies, and he likes it. Gareth likes it. Trent likes it, and he's a good player. He's good on set. He's good on set plays. You know, but you've got Rice there. The key is Rice. You know, people think, well, it's Bellingham, but it's not. It's Rice because Rice will tie it all together, and he'll be at the back, and he'll be winning the ball back, and he'll be as he does for Arsenal and. You know, he'll be giving the ball to the Bellinghams and giving the ball to Trent and all that if he plays. And, you know, it's quite exciting. It's quite exciting because it's something different. And I think, you know, Stones has played in midfield as well.
He has. He's been great for City there.
You could put Stones in there if you wanted to. And there's all kinds of possibilities within this England squad. And I think that's the most exciting thing for Gareth as well. You know, he's got to get vision for his final 11 and how they play. He's got to get that right. Yeah. But if he doesn't get it right, the option is, players coming on from the bench, and it takes just not 11 players to win a game. It's going to be quite a few more.
Yeah, and you mentioned about it all coming together. I think we look a few maybe early 2000s when we had this golden generation, a midfield: Lampard, Gerrard, Scholes, in Beckham and Owen, in Rooney up front. It just never happened. Now that's as good as an England front 6 as we've ever seen, isn't it? But it just never happened. So the gel with the manager.
But that wasn't right. The gel just wasn't right. And with Scholes on the left-hand side, it was like people say play your best players. But if you're going to play your best players and 2 or 3 of them are out of position, then it's not effective enough. It's not strong enough as it should be. So I think the players that he's got play in a position that they're very comfortable with and do for their clubs. So I think that he has the edge on that. It may not be that these players are better than the previous ones you mentioned for the golden generation. It doesn't matter if they're better or not. They're in the position now, and a lot of them are on form, scoring goals. I think Kane will be delighted to get back into the team and be with the lads again like he was before. And we need a fit squad, let alone a fit Kane. Yeah. But even then, you've still got Watkins, and Watkins has had a great season, and he's scored goals for England, so he knows what it takes. And I'm very excited. You want to be quietly excited and quietly confident, But I think they could go all the way.
Yeah, and lots of pace and power up front is
Exactly.
so important. June the 16th, it all gets underway in Germany, of course, for England, taking on Serbia. So you're the England manager now. Assuming they're all fit, who starts for England under Terry Butcher?
Well, Pickford in goal, right back Walker, Stones, Maguire, Chilwell. There's your back five.
Yeah.
Centre midfield, Trent Alexander-Arnold and Declan Rice, with Bellingham in front. And then on the right-hand side, I'd play Saka, and I'd play Foden on the left, and Kane up front.
There's some goals in that team, aren't there?
It's not bad, is it? No, but the problem, not the problem. The nice thing about the team is it's not rigid. It's not a rigid system that they can float about and move about and do things. Like Foden loves to come short and loves to move about, and if Kane comes short, Foden can go up top and all that sort of thing. And even if Kane and Watkins are injured, you can still play Foden up there as the false nine sort of thing that Manchester City love to employ, because he's playing with the best that England has to offer. So he'll feel at home, very much at home there. But it's about individuals producing their best form. Everybody's got to be up and ready for it and playing well together, or individually playing well individually and then playing well together as well. So, I think we've got a really good chance, and I think we're gonna. It's about settling in very quickly in a World Cup or in the Euros, because you settle in quick and therefore you're able to get momentum in the tournament, and that's what England need.
That's it. And if we look at that, there's always a player who comes from nowhere. Maybe Gascoigne in Platt in 1990. That's what happened. I don't think they started the tournament, did they? But and of course they come on, and all of a sudden we've got a couple of new superstars. Could we find somebody out of this just from the squad? Maybe. I mean, that's always a tempter.
I don't think so. It's not so much from people come from the outside as the people within the squad rise to the occasion.
Yeah.
You might see the players grasping the tournament by the scruff of the neck, like a Bellingham.
Yeah.
He could do exactly that. Foden could do it as well. Saka could do it. And there's a lot of England players that can do it.
Wow.
But we'd like 2 or 3 together to do that as well. Then we're talking about going places. But there's nothing to fear from England. No one to fear in the tournament except themselves. And if they fear not doing well, then they won't do well. They've got to forget the fear and just say we are going to do well.
And say it's an England team that if we can keep the English grit, we've always had in our teams, and that little sparkle of stardust, or whatever you want to call it, with those players up front.
Yeah, but it's all about hard work. That people say that you're on the ball, and it's not going to happen by magic. You've got to work hard off the ball. You've got to work hard on the ball, and be together as a team, defend together, attack together, and be a unit, be a solid unit. And if you're a solid unit, then you've got a very good chance of not being beaten and also going on to win the game.
Well, hopefully it all goes well, starting off on, June the 16th. And Terry Butcher, thank you so much for your time.
Looking forward to it very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.